Most people think they're manifesting, but they're not feeling it. And that one small difference is the wall between delay and instant results. You can repeat affirmations all day, script your dreams in journals, visualize for hours, but if you're not feeling the reality of what you want, you're only circling the gate without ever stepping through it. Neville Goddard didn't say think it real. He said feel it real. There's a hidden code in that phrase, a method that bypasses resistance, rewires your identity, and instantly impresses your subconscious with the reality of your desire. That's the true doorway to manifestation. Not effort, not repetition, but emotional embodiment. In today's video, you're going to learn exactly how Neville taught this principle. We're going deep past surface level affirmations, past the usual positive thinking ideas, and straight into the inner mechanics of how reality responds, not to words, but to who you're being. And who you're being is shaped by what you feel. Here's the truth, Neville revealed again and again. Reality is not reacting to what you want. It is reflecting who you are. And who you are is determined by the dominant emotional state you walk in. This video will walk you through Neville's personal method for stepping into that state. Not tomorrow, not when things change, but right now. We're going to uncover what feeling it real really means. Not just pretending, not just hoping, but becoming. There's a method Neville used, a precise inner process that most people overlook. It's not loud. It doesn't require constant affirmation. It doesn't demand that you act frantically. It only requires that you shift internally into the assumption that what you desire is already true. This is why Neville emphasized state akin to sleep. A moment when your outer mind goes quiet. A moment when suggestion slips in without argument. And in that moment, if you feel the outcome, not imagine it, not wish it, but feel it as done, something changes, not out there, in you. And that change becomes the seed of physical reality. Throughout this video, you'll learn the exact steps to enter that state. You'll see how inner speech is not just idle chatter. It is the programming language of your future. You'll discover why emotion is the bridge between thought and form, why logic often gets in the way, and why those who manifest quickly are not lucky, they are lying. We'll also expose some of the biggest mistakes people make, why so many try hard but stay stuck, why even dedicated manifestors sometimes get no results, and how you can escape that cycle today, not by doing more, but by feeling better. Neville taught that your outer world is just the echo of your inner state. That means your current results are simply shadows of past feelings. But the moment you change your state, the moment you claim the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you set in motion a new cause, and that cause will express itself. It must. So many people ask, how do I know if it's working? That question itself reveals misalignment. Because when you feel it real, you no longer ask, you know. There is no demand, no need to chase, no desire to convince anyone. You rest in the certainty that it's already done. Neville's life was a demonstration of this truth. He manifested travel, abundance, relationships, opportunity, not through hustle or chasing, but through internal assumption. He remained still, focused, faithful. And from that stillness, reality bent to match. In this video, you'll hear lesser-known insights about Neville's daily practices, how he used mental rehearsal, inner speech, and emotional conviction as tools to shift into alignment. You'll learn why some manifestations appear instantly, and others take time, and what to do in both cases. You'll also be challenged not to do more, but to do less with more focus, less forcing, less checking, more quiet conviction, more emotional presence. This is not passive, it's powerful. So if you've ever wondered why things haven't changed, if you felt close but never quite arrived, if you're tired of trying and ready to receive, this is your moment. The key is not out there. It never was. It's not a secret affirmation. It's not the next technique. It's not even waiting for the right moment. The moment is now, and the method is simple. Feel it real. Let the emotion of your fulfilled desire become your dwelling place, not something you visit occasionally, but your home. And from that state, you'll no longer chase, you'll attract by being. You'll no longer wish, you'll no longer try, you'll live. Welcome to Ignis Mindset, where we explore the deepest teachings of Neville Goddard and guide you toward true inner mastery. If you're ready to stop forcing and start feeling, if you want to unlock the hidden power within, subscribe now and join us on this journey of becoming. And if this video resonates with you, if it sparks something inside, like it, share it and stay until the end. What you'll learn today may be the shift that changes everything. Before we talk about the process of manifesting anything instantly, we must confront a widespread misunderstanding. The idea that thinking alone is enough. This is where most people go wrong. They believe that if they just keep repeating thoughts like I am wealthy, I am loved, or everything is working out, they'll somehow create their new reality. But Neville Goddard was clear. Thought in and of itself has no creative power unless it is fused with emotion. A thought is like a seed, but without the water of feeling, it remains dry, lifeless, and buried. Nothing grows from a dry seed. This is why many people repeat affirmations, but experience no change. They speak words mechanically. They write out desires like a checklist, but their emotional state remains rooted in the opposite. They say, I am wealthy, but they feel anxious about their bank account. They say, I am in a happy relationship, but they feel lonely. The feeling cancels the thought, and in Neville's words, it is always the feeling that is the secret. Neville taught that creation is not a matter of willpower, it is a matter of assumption. And assumption is not mere thinking, it is emotional acceptance. When you assume something, you accept it as true even before you see it. You feel it as if it were already done. That emotional conviction is the real creative act. It impresses the subconscious, and from there the outer world begins to shift. People often ask, but what if I don't feel it? What if I'm just pretending? And the answer is simple. You cannot pretend and expect results. Pretending keeps the feeling of lack alive. Hoping keeps the future distant. But assuming that's different. Assuming brings the future into the now. It makes the unseen real within you. And when it's real within, it must eventually express without. Let's go deeper into Neville's phrase, feeling it real. What does that actually mean? To feel it real is to dwell emotionally in the state of your fulfilled desire. It's not enough to say the words. You must step into the version of yourself who already has what you want, and then feel as they would feel. You don't just visualize a new home, you feel the comfort of it, the peace, the pride, the joy. You don't just imagine a relationship, you feel the warmth, the safety, the connection. This is not about daydreaming, it's about identity. When you feel it real, you are no longer the person who wants. You become the person who has, and that shift from wanting to having is the turning point. Neville often used the example of a man imagining a trip to Barbados. He didn't just picture the island, he felt the sensation of already being there. The warm air, the sense of arrival, the joy of fulfillment. And that feeling drew the experience to him, seemingly out of nowhere. But it wasn't out of nowhere, it was from within. Feeling it real is not complicated, but it does require inner discipline. You have to move beyond the surface of your thoughts and enter the atmosphere of belief. It's not asking, will I get it? That question signals doubt. It's assuming it's already mine. That statement settles you. It quiets the inner noise. It plants the seed and lets it grow. Neville taught that the subconscious is impersonal. It doesn't argue. It accepts what you truly feel. If you feel doubt, it creates more delay. If you feel fear, it reflects obstacles. But if you feel confidence, peace, gratitude, not because you see the result, but because you know it's done, then the result must unfold. This is why inner conviction matters more than outward repetition. You can say 1,000 affirmations, but if you feel nothing, they bounce off the surface of your mind. but one quiet moment of emotional certainty, and that single feeling can do what 1,000 words could not. Think of it like this. When you pray for something over and over, from a place of lack, you're reinforcing that you don't have it. But when you enter a state where you feel its reality, as if the prayer has already been answered, then your prayer becomes a declaration, and declarations shape experience. There's a real life example Neville shared of a woman who desired reconciliation with someone she loved. She tried everything: letters, conversations, tears. Nothing worked. Then she withdrew from outer effort and began to feel within herself the joy of reunion. She imagined the embrace, the forgiveness, the laughter. She didn't hope. She assumed. She lived emotionally in that state. And soon after, the man returned, apologizing, saying he'd been thinking of her constantly. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. Feeling it real is not performance, it's presence. It's stepping away from the noise of desperation and resting in quiet confidence. It's becoming inwardly what you want to be outwardly and letting the world mirror that shift. This is why Neville placed so much importance on stillness, because in stillness you can bypass the conscious mind, the part that doubts, analyzes, worries, and goes straight to the subconscious, where reality is shaped. It's in that quiet space, just before sleep or during deep relaxation, where the feeling of the wish fulfilled takes root. And that is your true work, not effort, not repetition, but emotional embodiment. Once you assume the feeling, you stop asking, you stop checking, you simply persist, quietly, faithfully, until the inner state becomes the outer fact. The creative act is not loud, it's not forced. It doesn't require struggle, it requires clarity, focus, and above all, feeling. That's where true power lies, not in thinking about the future, but in bringing the emotion of that future into now. Because when you feel it real, you're not trying to manifest, you're revealing. You're unveiling the version of yourself that already exists in potential. And the moment you claim it emotionally, it begins to take shape physically. So step out of the world of thought alone. Go deeper. Feel it real. Assume the end. And let the rest follow. One of the most powerful methods Neville Goddard taught for entering the feeling of the wish fulfilled is known as SATS. Sate, taking to sleep. It is not sleep, but the state right before it. That soft, drowsy threshold where the conscious mind begins to fade and the subconscious becomes open and receptive. This state is sacred. In it, you are no longer arguing, no longer doubting. You are simply present. And what you impress during SATS has a far greater chance of becoming your outer experience. SATS works because it bypasses the resistance of the analytical mind. In waking life, logic constantly interferes. It says, "How will it happen?" or "This isn't realistic." But when you enter that drowsy state, the gatekeeper of logic falls asleep, and the subconscious, which creates your reality, listens without defense. That is your moment to plant the seed. The method is simple, but must be done with sincerity. You lie down in a relaxed position, preferably at night or during a nap, when the body is winding down. You close your eyes and calm your breathing, and then you imagine a short, vivid scene, no longer than 10 to 15 seconds, that implies your desire is already fulfilled. You don't force the image. You let it arise gently. Perhaps it's someone congratulating you. Perhaps it's a moment of joy in your new home, or a feeling of peace with your partner. But the key is not just to see the image, it is to feel it. What would it feel like if that scene were happening right now? How would your body respond? How would your breathing shift? What would your heart feel? Capture that and loop it gently in your mind until you fall asleep. That is the act of impressing the subconscious. That is creation. Neville said to make this scene as real as possible, but never strain. If it becomes effortful, it loses its power. It must feel natural, real, warm. It must carry the emotion of this is done. And when you awaken, you carry that state with you. You don't go looking for signs. You live from the assumption that the work is finished. Alongside Sats, Neville emphasized the tremendous power of inner speech. Every person carries on an internal dialogue throughout the day. And for most, that dialogue is filled with doubt, fear, criticism, and lack. They ask, when will it happen? They say, I'm not ready, or things never work out for me. But every one of these thoughts is a seed, and the subconscious does not judge. It accepts what you repeatedly affirm, especially if those affirmations are emotional. This is why inner speech must be transformed. Your self-talk must match the version of yourself who already has. Replace begging with gratitude. Replace asking with thanksgiving. Replace fear with calm acknowledgement. Instead of thinking, I hope I get that job, say to yourself, I'm so grateful it's mine. I feel so valued and excited to be there. The moment you change the script, you begin to change the feeling, and the feeling is what manifests. Inner conversations must become intentional. Imagine someone asking you, how's your life now? Don't respond with lack. Don't speak from the old self. Answer from the new identity. It's wonderful. I feel secure. I feel supported. Everything is unfolding beautifully. Say it silently. Say it often. And say it with feeling. Your words are not just words. They are emotional tools. When aligned with conviction, they reach the subconscious and begin to create. That is why the emotion of ownership is so critical. Most people live in the emotion of lack. They hope, they wait, they chase. But Neville taught that you must stop chasing and start owning. The outer world responds not to your effort, but to your inner state. Ownership is not arrogance. It is alignment. It's a quiet confidence that says, this is mine because I have already claimed it inwardly. It's the energy of someone who does not need to prove or persuade. They simply are. And when you are that person emotionally, you become a magnet to all that matches it. Neville made it clear to become the one who already has. You must first feel like the one who already has. That is the bridge. If you want wealth, feel the stability of wealth. If you want love, feel the warmth of being loved. If you want freedom, feel the lightness of having no fear. The outer is always the echo. The inner is always the cause. You don't wait for circumstances to change to feel different. You feel different, and then the circumstances change. And this is where most get trapped. They look for signs. They monitor the outside world. But Neville's message was always to turn within, persist in the feeling, stay loyal to the unseen, act as if you've already received. And that is how the promise fulfills itself. So through sats, through inner speech, and through emotional ownership, you rewire the inner world. You don't chase, you align. You don't beg, you assume. And as you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your world begins to mold itself around your inner conviction. The truth is, you were never meant to struggle to get what is already yours. The moment you assume it with feeling, it becomes yours in essence. And the physical form must follow. That is the law. That is the method. And that is the secret. So few truly understand. Most people unknowingly block their manifestations by falling into subtle traps. The first is chasing results. They ask, is it here yet? Or constantly scan their surroundings for proof that something is working. Neville made it clear, if you're checking for signs, you're not living in the end. You're living in doubt. The outer world is only a reflection, and when you chase, you confirm that what you want is still missing. This energy of lack delays what's already yours. By right of assumption, the second trap is impatience. Doubt creeps in when things take longer than expected, but Neville taught that delay is not denial. Every seed has its appointed time to blossom. When you plant a seed, you don't keep digging it up to see if it's growing. You trust the process. Likewise, when you feel something real, you persist in it, knowing the outer will match the inner. Many confuse wishing with feeling. Wishing is hoping something will happen. Feeling is knowing it already has. This is where most people go wrong. They affirm, they visualize, but inwardly they still wonder, will it come? That wondering energy is doubt, and doubt is the cancellation of faith. Neville always stressed that your feeling, not your effort, is what creates reality. The feeling must carry conviction. To correct this, begin with a daily discipline. Feel it first, then live. Start each morning by placing yourself in the emotional state of already having what you desire. Even just 5 minutes of silent stillness, where you feel yourself as already successful, loved, healed, or wealthy, is more powerful than hours of anxious action. The outer world is molded by the inner state you consistently occupy. During the day, use quiet moments to return to that feeling. While walking, after prayer, or during still moments, reaffirm that the wish is already fulfilled. Not with words alone, but with the silent knowing, that calm sense that it is done. At night, let this feeling guide you into sleep. Neville said sleep is the doorway to the subconscious, and what you feel as true during that moment of drowsiness gets planted deep, persist inwardly, even when nothing has changed on the outside, because that inward persistence is where change begins. Real manifestation is not loud. It doesn't need to be posted, announced, or discussed. It's silent and certain. Neville's instruction was precise. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and do not deviate. That's the whole secret. The more you need to prove it, the less you believe it. The more you explain it, the less you embody it. Let your life become the evidence, not your words. What matters is not how much you do, but who you are being. When you align with your desired self in silence, the world reorganizes to reflect it. You don't have to make things happen. Your only task is to dwell in the end, emotionally, faithfully, and consistently. So when doubt visits, go back inward. When nothing seems to change, reaffirm within. When you're tempted to talk about it or look for signs, remind yourself the work is already done. You're not becoming, you are. You're not attracting, you are revealing. The truth of your inner conviction moves mountains, silently. And over time, as Neville taught, the outer world bows to the assumption held faithfully within. This is not magic. This is law, the law of consciousness, the law of identity. Assume it, feel it, rest in it, and you'll find what you sought was never far. It was waiting for you to become the one who already has. You don't need more time. You don't need a better technique. You only need the courage to apply what you already know. Now, the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you set creation in motion. And it's not the loudest effort that creates results, it's the most faithful one. Take this teaching and live it. Let this be the moment you stop chasing and start dwelling. Use the quiet times, the early morning when the world hasn't stirred, the stillness before sleep, the calm in your step, to feel from your fulfilled desire. The change you want is already inside of you, waiting for your permission to exist. Stop rehearsing the lack. Begin rehearsing the reality of what is already yours. Neville said, dare to believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the world play its part to express it. If this message awakened something in you, if it reminded you of who you are and what you're capable of, then like this video and subscribe to Ignis Mindset. We dive deep into teachings that don't just inspire, they transform. We're here to remind you of the power you've always had. Come back often. Apply this now. Don't wait. Live it and let the evidence follow.